Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Clickbait with my co hosts here.
Hi, I'm Kilobyte.
And I'm Onyx.
And on today's special episode, we have another fantastic guest with us today, Mr. David Kaye, the voice of Megatron from the Beast Wars series and the Unicron trilogy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Fantastic. Boy, that's already there's pressure on me. Oh,
We're excited.
what am I going to do?
We are also very excited.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Of course, of course. So let's get started. Our first question that we have right out the gate is why don't you start with telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm uncomfortable with that. And let me see about myself. I guess I've been doing this all my life in one way or another, using a microphone and using my voice. It started in radio when I was 17. I had a fascination with being on air. I guess before that, I was doing some volunteer work at the local cable station behind the camera, and so I kind of fell in love with that as well. But I really liked the idea of radio. I used to listen to radio stations. God, it seems so long ago, and seems like I'm an old person talking. But I used to listen to the transistor. Listen to me, transistor radio.
I might as well be doing this voice. Before the cassette tape.
Oh God, listen to me. But anyway, I had heroes on the air. I used to listen to growing up in Canada. I had a fascination with America, and I used to order, stuff out of the back, comic books, and all the good stuff seemed to come from America. So I had a fascination early, and also all the great radio stations and personalities came from America that I sort of followed. These stations you could pick up at night: WBZ in Boston, WGN Chicago, and the CKLW out of Detroit. I listened to air check tapes and recordings of these great disc jockeys who were real personalities at the time, and I gravitated toward that. I thought, I guess that's kind of the first time I equated they weren't just a voice, but they were personalities. People like Howard Stern came along, and he's still doing it, and his personality it's just not a disembodied voice. And I tried desperately to do that when I was younger, at 17, 18, of course, failed miserably, but somebody gave me a shot and put me on the air in my hometown of Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. And I was big into Letterman, and I was trying to do Letterman bits, and I was, listen, one person gave me a shot. Rick Johnson gave me a shot, put me on the air, and that's sort of how it all began. But I really wanted something more, always wanted something more. And I was, trying to figure out who I was. And I remember doing a bit one night. It was a takeoff on Letterman, like top 10. I don't know what I was doing. And somebody called me like 2:30 in the morning, "Stop doing Letterman," and hangs up. And you're at a young age, you're shattered. Somebody yells at you, "Stop doing that."
Right.
But I look back on that, I go, he was right. Stop doing other people. Just be, it takes a long time to be comfortable with who you are. So it all started radio. And I went through to Vancouver. I had a few other jobs, small jobs, morning shows. And I thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life. I'd become a big fan of Rick Dees way back in the day. And we have since become, friends, which is so surreal. But I followed these people and tried to emulate their careers. And it wasn't until Vancouver, I moved out there in 1989. And that's where they were doing, little known to me, cartoons. Deke Animation was out there, which we always used to say jokingly stood for Done in Canada. And they were doing things like, G.I. Joe. And growing up, I had all the dolls.
Nice.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm fast forwarding here, but basically I was doing a morning show. I was part of the morning show team. I was doing voices, characters on the air, and that was quite fun. I'd done every day part. They called it middays, afternoon drive, evenings, overnights. And the morning show is when I started to go, oh, this is fun. This is like show business. And you had the morning zoo, Dean Hill, Constable Bob, David Kaye. I was playing characters like Cowboy Dick and Howdy Boys and Girls. Yeah, that sort of.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was doing things. I was doing like stuff. And then I got an agent I was so bored the rest of the day because you're kind of done at 10 o'clock. And and I would look for something to do, and I took this goofy commercial modeling course. The modeling part it wasn't obviously for me, but the commercial part, learning lines and staying in front of a little a camcorder and recording an audition, I kind of dug that. And my soon-to-be agent was brand new and said, you should consider doing this. If you want an agent, I'll represent you and start to send you out. I go, okay. And then it was somewhere in the neighborhood of a few months after that, he called and said, do you know how to do voices? And I said, sure, whatever. Sounds good. He said, I have this audition for G.I. Joe. And I said, like with the dolls, you mean G.I. Joe? And he says, yeah. So I was all over that, and I auditioned for it, and somehow I got part of General Hawk, and that began the animation.
Oh, wow.
So that sort of catches you up to date from where I started from, what I loved, and then when I first got my first taste. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
excellent.
That's quite the story. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, let's move on to our second question. Is what first brought you into the world of Transformers?
Yes. Well, I'm glad I stopped there because I started doing anime, Sesshomaru and characters in Inuyasha. I didn't really know how big a deal it would become. I had no idea. I was just happy to do a cartoon. They didn't pay us any money for it. But the Crelay stuff, which is the what Transformers would fall under, where you get a bunch of actors in a room and you record there's no animation done yet. They animate to your voice, so there's a script comes in, and it's
it's show business.
The audition for that happened, much like other auditions would start to come in. I was still very green, and this big package. Hey, got a big audition for you, big da 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 da. And it's a stack of paper with pictures and drawings and relationships between the characters. Now, I wasn't exposed to G1 Transformers at all. I grew up on Bugs Bunny, Tex Avery, and weird cartoons and that. And I did watch G.I. Joe once in a while. I did, but I didn't realize I wasn't familiar with Transformers. I wasn't exposed to it. And so I think that was a good thing because I saw this character, and I always gravitate toward the bad guys and the main good guy, the bad guy.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are. And I looked at it, I read it, and I said, and I keep thinking, I don't know how I ever, it's like when we say, how do we ever do without cell phones? It's like, what did I do? I have no idea how I even got that. So I remember reading for Doug Parker, who would eventually end up playing, is it Starscream? No. Yeah, the Beast Wars version. For crying out loud.
Right.
The Starscream, anyway, whatever that equivalent was, I can't remember. And he was auditioning us, and I walked in, and I had really no idea. And all I could think of was Anthony Hopkins and Sean Connery and a lizard, because I saw the picture of it, and I was a big fan of both those actors. That if I kind of put a spin on it, if I did, and I just started, this sort of thing, this Shakespearean blah blah blah, and I got a call back, and I went to the callback a couple of weeks later, and there's nobody else there. It was at Griffith Gibson Ramsey Productions in Vancouver on 8th Avenue. I think they're still there. But I walked in, there's nobody in the room. I go, oh, this is better. It's quiet. And there's a couple, and there was somebody else in there. I don't even remember if anybody else was there. But they brought me in. They read me for both Optimus for Primal and for Megatron. And I don't even remember what I did for Primal, probably much the same as my own voice. And they ended up casting me as Megatron, which I'm just grateful for. It was so what a ride. You never think this is going to last. So you never think it's going to last past 13 episodes and move on to the next. But here we are 25 plus years later, and people are still coming up going, yes.
Gotta have your rubber ducky too.
Very iconic.
I have the buttons. I have the
you do have the buttons.
I have one too.
I don't have one. I've seen some of them. I don't have one, but I think they're hilarious. They're so much fun.
They're available on the website and at my next show at TFCon in Toronto on July the 15th. What, I sound like Rob Paulson there for a second. David Kaye.
But that's sort of how it's happened. There's a lot to be said for not knowing what you're doing,
Right.
Now, I don't know if I'd say that now, but actually, you know what? I've spent most of my career flying by the seat of my pants. I know what I'm doing, but I really don't. And someone's going to find out, and they're going to call me one day and go, hey, DK, you know what? I know you've been in all this stuff, but I don't think you know what you're doing. Yeah. Let's call it a day. And, But yeah, so really, people ask about, how do I get into it, and I really don't know what to say. I mean, there's no real rules. There's a way. I think you need to do improv. I was doing theater, and you need to be comfortable being yourself and not caring. But otherwise, Phil Lamar and I had this conversation once, and I have no idea. I told people I don't know how I got into it. Not really quite sure.
Secret's out.
Yeah. So I really,
The secret's out.
secret's out. Phil Lamar. Hi. I don't know. It's just sort of one of those things you think, wow, how grateful am I? That's the only thing I can think of is the word grateful, and how the opportunities and present themselves. And that's why I eventually had to move to emigrate to the US in 2007, because it was getting busier down here. TF Animated started. I was cast as Optimus Prime. Really weird for me.
I know, right? The total opposite side.
Yeah. So I
Changing
literally,
teams.
I tell that story about driving through
Changing
Chinatown.
sides.
I'm off the 110 in through Chinatown, going downtown, and I get a call right before I get to the Disney Concert Hall area, and say, "Hey, DK, so good news. I want to hire you for for TF Animated." And I'm thinking, "Oh, Megatron's back. Here we go."
Nope.
So they want to book you for Optimus Prime, and I kind of went, "What?" And I literally said to her, "Are you sure?"
What a twist.
"Are you sure?" "What do you mean, are you sure?" I go, "Well, I just want to check," because I was, yeah, we know. Then they want you for Optimus Prime. My animation agent minces no words. Yeah,
So,
I do not want to get on her bad side, ever.
if I've counted right, you voiced close to, if not more than 600 roles. Which of the characters have you played that you really enjoyed that you think most people may not recognize you from?
There's been a ton that I really enjoyed. I always liked doing Professor X because, Patrick Stewart and the whole thing was fun. But
So good.
I loved recently doing He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I've been playing one of my favorite characters is, I remember He-Man, Battle Cat, Cringer. And I know Kevin Smith had a series, and we did our series from the same time, both for Mattel. And Yuri Lowenthal was our Adam and our He-Man. And that was just before the pandemic shut us all down. We went into the studio, and what a fun cast. But the character, it's one of those things where you get something, and you go, oh, I know exactly what to do with this. I hear him right away. And I have many actors named Liam who are favorites of mine, Neeson, and what's the Liam who's in Game of Thrones?
Yes, Liam Neeson.
Liam, and Liam who's in the Game of Thrones, he's to protect the king's protector. I don't think I don't like the Red Scarlet Queen, sir. I sort of married, Liam.
Yeah. Liam Cunningham.
Thank you. And I really enjoy. I love the two of them as actors, and their voice has this. They kind of come from here, from the throat. And Liam's Neeson's an Irish American. He's an Irish American, and I married the two, and I became a protector instead of the voice. They weren't going for the old school, the whiny stuff. I thought, well, he's a protector, and he's got my claws. I'll protect you, Adam, if the last thing, a very father figure, sort of Adam, careful, don't step in the pothole. I mean,
I
loved him because it was like, to me, putting on a warm coat. Like, this feels comfortable, and I know this character, and I really enjoy playing him. And some people, I actually like the series. I don't watch. Let me get this out of the way right now. I watch very little of what I've done, especially on camera. It's like, turn it off. I'm uncomfortable with it because I always think I can do better. I can make it better. I can make it. Doesn't sound real to me. It doesn't sound right. So I did watch 5 episodes of that series, and I went, this is actually really good. And not just, I don't watch it for me, God forbid, but everybody else, the cast everyone is just freaking amazing. And I was, this is a really good, well done, show. So I liked him. I did some stuff for Dr. Seuss, which I'm always a big fan of since I was a kid. The Places You'll Go is one of my favorite things, and it's like basically my mantra.
That's a really good one.
Oh, absolutely. I love that one.
That's my favorite. And so getting to work on that series, it's on, I think Ellen was executive producer on that. It's on Netflix somewhere, but it's a bunch of characters in there. And it was so much fun to bring life to a Dr. Seuss character. That was like, wow, to me. So yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
some
we know
awesome.
you've spent a lot of time as Megatron primarily, and also as Optimus. And from what you remember of like what you did, but got to do with the characters and where they went in their character journey, if you got the opportunity to play them again, is there anything specific you would want them to be able to do, or any obstacles you'd want them to overcome from your characters?
I like the character arc for Optimus. I mean, the first few episodes of him, I was uncomfortable. And so, hence, I wasn't sure of the voice placement yet. I wasn't quite sure who I was and who. But episode 4 or 5, I realized that, oh, this is me. Well, it takes so long. We put on masks every day and we really hide who our true selves. And especially you do that, when you're acting. But it's so freeing and cathartic to just take the mask off, to be yourself, because that's ultimately what's who the real human being is inside, the soul of the character. Every character I create, I need, he's got to have a soul and a heartbeat and feeling. It's got to
Kind of like Sparks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you gotta have sparks. It just can't be some voice and screaming and yelling. It's got to mean something. And Optimus, to me, that I was sort of a revelation where I guess, oh, I don't need to do anything. I just be me, and that was powerful, and that opened even more doors. The other, you said the other part. What was the other part of that question? Talked about yeah.
If you got to do them again, what would you want to do with them?
Um, yeah, because my point was I love the arc we were headed in TF Prime. From Megatron, I mean, I knew back then it was very Shakespearean. I love the writing, but there's a lot of different nuances I would like to, if given the chance again, a mature Megatron would be interesting in that voice print, in that type of character.
Very interesting.
I
Very
agree.
interesting.
Haggard, battle weary, battle worn. I tend to gravitate toward the dark heroes. Like dark Batman is my favorite, because I go, yeah, there's a real human being. There's a tortured soul. There's somebody who's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's a lot about him that I can relate to. It's like on the outside, that's on the inside, bit of a mess sometimes. Thank
You
God.
definitely see that in the Armada Megatron.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
God,
yeah, for sure.
For my Batgirl Maria. Gosh, I don't want to do without her. Or Catwoman, I guess, whatever. But yeah, I would love to. It's the nuance you can bring to the character. As I could imagine him coming back on screen, but haggard and scars, and I'd be kind of cool. He's gone through the mill and
Hollywood, make it happen.
Yeah.
Great, but it's not up to me, man. That's not up to me. I always tell people, they always say, are you disappointed that you're not? I said, of course, what actor isn't? But the fact that I even got a chance to play and inhabit this character who's iconic, who's a chance that I got a chance to play like two of the, the main good guy and the main villain,
really
or
cool.
any of these characters. The fact that I give a chance to inhabit them, I don't own them. And it's not that you can't use me. You didn't use me. That's not whatever. But
Right.
that I got a moment to play them is wow. How cool is that? Like that's again, I go back to the word grateful. It's incredible. So.
Well, who has been your favorite cast member to work with on any of your Transformers projects you've been part of?
Right. Well, I was going to say Roger Craig Smith. He hasn't been a Transformer, but he's one of my favorite people because we text each other and make each other laugh. And
well, that works because the other one was the same question, but between your other franchises, because you've been in Ratchet and Clank and G.I. Joe
Avengers.
and Benton, all that. Yes.
Well, we were in Avengers together, and I was Jarvis, and then we went on to play Vision and Ben Foncimo, and he was Captain America. Got in that room, and Bumper Robinson. These guys make me laugh. Bumper, I actually got to reach out to him and say hello. But we all got very close during Transformers. Favorite in the Transformer world? Well, in TF Prime. I mean, God, it was such a bump. It was fun to work with Corey Burton was fun because we used to do old radio voices I don't think we ever had a real conversation. We would just go, good morning, Mr. Kaye. Good morning, Mr. all that.
Yeah.
In the Beast Wars world, when I still living in Canada, back in Vancouver, what a treasure, what a treat that was. I always really got a kick out of course, we're all in love with Venus Terzo, because we're the only girl in a bunch full of idiots. I was mad crush on Venus. But Alec Willows, used to freak me out watching him work. He's a theater guy, and I have mad respect for Alec. I know he's still out and about around up there, but classically trained and just a character in this and such a wonderful human being. I remember Alec had a heart attack once, and I had at that at that young age I had nobody that I knew. Heart attack? What, a friend of mine? How does that? When you're younger, you don't really think about that. And I went and visited him in the hospital, and it was just, you can't die, man. You can't go. And he didn't. And it was just he's just such a nice, warm human being. And to watch him become tarantulas with his fingers, and it's just
Such a good tarantulas.
Yeah.
I just loved it. He was a thrill to work with.
Yeah. I know a lot of the Prime cast, you guys recorded that in the round. Did you get to record in the round with anybody?
In the Prime?
In Prime. I think you were hard shell in that one.
It's hard shell. Yeah. They did, and I know who did I work with it one day? I was in, but then I was in after. I know Peter had been in, Frank was in, Steve Bloom. And I think if I recall, was it Stu Yiannopoulos, Burbank, I think it was, and I went in after because I had a scheduling. I remember there was a scheduling. I was busy at the time, and they couldn't bring me, and I came in after, and I did that. I remember the audition. I told people, if you're going to do something in the audition, be prepared to, if you book it, to be able to do the same thing. I have my hands around my chin because you have this thing. I didn't want him to sound too Megatron-y, but I wanted to have that, that
deep voice.
Yes, mandibles, this thing.
Yeah.
So I created D. Bradley Baker, taught me how to do stuff like that. Just use your face and use other tools and just your voice, and that created the character. Kevin Michael Richardson, him and I fought. Kevin's a gem. He's so much fun. I might have did it with him. I can't remember. Kevin and I might have been in there. I can't remember. Yeah.
Speaking of characters you've voiced, who has been your favorite Transformers character you've voiced, and who is your favorite Transformers character you haven't voiced?
Famous Transformers character. I haven't voiced anything in any of the movies.
Live action or animated?
Yeah, that was live action.
Ooh, a live action Beast Wars Megatron?
Yeah, I haven't. I think I've auditioned for some stuff, but I never got a chance to play. But hey, look, stop it. It would be fun to bring something to the screen, the live action portion. But I mean,
Absolutely.
the favorite's been Megatron, because he's just been, again, so Shakespearean. He goes through all the thing, and he gets kind of dark at the end, and the noble character. But yeah, but I do have a soft spot for TF Prime Lugnut, because he's what Megatron would call a dolt. You dolt.
So true.
That's why.
It's great.
I'm busy over here mumbling. Don't mind me. So he was very fun to play, and yes, that's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Perfect.
Sounds like you're not hugely involved in like the Transformers fandom in general, but what is your favorite thing about the Transformers fandom that you have experienced, or about being in and around the fandom with the fans?
Oh, when people come up and say, you were my childhood. I mean, it said a lot, and other but that lands, because you think, oh, wow, that's heavy. And I always answer, either in Clank's voice, or if I've video games, I hope I raised you well. Or teacher.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it's heavy. And also when people, I've had people come up to me at a convention, and a certain character that I've done, they've gone so far as to say that I think, it saved my life. And I go, whoa, because I was going through a tough time, and this character or whatever I identified with, and that sort of thing. Yeah, or our son was in hospital, and Optimus Prime from the animated series, kept him company, and we think it helped him. That's sort of when you realize that, oh, it's a little bigger than just doing a voice. So that stuff is it's great to that 3 years off. We weren't doing any conventions for the pandemic, and I was always sort of like, I want to stay home, and I don't do a lot of them. I never really did a lot of them, and now I have a great booking agent, Celebworks, and Neri and Chris, and
They're wonderful.
there's Ashley's now with them, and I just think, and so I want to do it because I like them. They're wonderful people, and and you realize the first one back, I hadn't done a convention, didn't do many, like I said, didn't do many before, but the first one back was Dallas, Kamehameha, I think it was, my first one last year, the year, I can't remember. You realize, oh my God, this is important. This is how you give back. This is what the whole, because if there's no there's no fan, there's no fandom, there's no us, it doesn't exist. And like, you know, like the Shishomaru thing, we were paid like $2.73 a line at the time, like whatever, you know, it's like, we're doing cartoons, who cares? But now they have pops and there's like things out and it's as popular as ever. And I had no idea. And the fans keep it alive. They keep it going. It's pretty cool. So I'm very well aware of the honor, what an honor it is to do that and to make someone's day. It was just a quick little story about character Ford Cruller, who I play in the Psychonauts video game series, and I sort of forgot about him, but he's a great character. And to do the voice, I have to really scrunch my neck, and I think I do have neck problems. Probably why I'm getting an MRI tomorrow because of all the blank and all the, you know.
Well, honey pepper boy bacon down in here, see?
And these parents brought their daughter with them, and she was autistic, and this was her game. This was what she loved, and Ford Cruller was her. They brought her up, and she was all timid and shy, and I did the voice, and she went crazy. She started to cry, and that because this game, you know, to do with like connecting the brain and all this stuff. It helped her, you know, in that respect, and she knows she has an issue, and she knows, and this game helped her, and her parents were beaming, you know, and they say, you're the reason we came here today. Because really, because I'd be going to the Harry Potter guy, or I'd be going to see, you know, Danny Trejo or what's his name from Star Wars. Like, just to come and see me. I mean, that was, you know, and you made this girl's day. You made her year, and so it's just mind blowing. It's so cool.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, for our next question is, what is something nobody knows that you've done and you wish that they would know about it?
There's an audiobook I did for a very close friend of mine I haven't seen for years, but he was in Thailand. He's over in Holland now. He has a son, but him and I did theater years ago. Brooke Burgess. You can look him up. He's done a couple of projects. Gosh, what was I did a project with him. It was before, like, you know, the internet was doing shows. I have to Broken Saints. Broken Saints is a deep, interesting series, 2003. It's sort of a comic book style, sort of animated, and when the, Flash animation was a big deal and came out. It's a horror drama, and I play some, crazy character on that. That's quite a series. It was very heavy, but it was brilliant. And I think Brooke won some awards. And he also wrote a book called The Cat's Maw, M-A-W. And when he was in Thailand, I'd take an evening and do two, 3 chapters. And I did an audiobook for him called The Cat's Maw. And apparently I won some award. I don't win any awards, but I won some awards.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of that book.
Yeah, it's a Sovus Award. I probably the only
okay.
ever win, because I don't really enter anything. I don't really know. I just kind of do my thing and move on. I forget about all the other stuff. But that book was tons of fun to do, and it's a great book, and I think he's a great writer. And but a couple of projects that he did that I worked on, for no money. Just because I love Brooke, and he's a good guy, and I believe in what he does, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, do you have any current projects that you're working on that you could talk about, or is there anything in the future?
There's some really fun stuff. God, I'm just like aching to tell. Like it's.
Yeah, we know there's
Gonna have to wait. Yeah, no, don't.
There's literally about 5 or 6 things. I recorded something this morning. It was so cool, but I can't. It is
right.
It's understandable.
We're very excited.
I can't remember. What's out there right now? I can talk about is Digman. That's Andy Samberg's new comedy, animated comedy.
Oh yes, on Comedy Central.
Yeah, Rip Digman. I play the newsman Howard Toe, and a bunch of other characters in the show, and it's very funny, it's hilarious, and that's on Comedy Central, and it's out there in the first season. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, Andy's didn't make it to the rap party, and I wasn't feeling great at all, and it was like I just said I can't, and it turns out, of course, he was there. I really wanted to thank him, but there it is. But that's fun, and you can promote the heck out of that. Also, it's still on Netflix, and it was not renewed for another season, but it's so out there. It's gosh, what was I? I've completely forgotten the title of it. What the guys that do Paradise PD, oh, for crying out loud, Farzar, Farzar, Farzar. It is extreme.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
It's funny, but I'm telling you,
Sounds
be
familiar.
careful who you watch. Be careful who you watch it with, and you better
Oh,
have
no.
a sense of humor, because it goes there and then some on every level.
That's good to know. Moving
Yes.
to our last couple questions here, we wanted to take the chance to see if you have any questions for us.
I don't know. I have no idea. Who was your last voiceover guest?
Andy Barnett, who voiced Rhinox.
Andy
We
Barnett.
interviewed him this morning, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. Andy.
He was in the new Netflix series, the War for
The-
Cybertron
Got it,
trilogy
got
they
it.
did.
Got it. Maybe have I met Andy at a con? Maybe I have.
He was
Maybe.
in
He was
LA
at-
this year.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Like for TFCon LA. Yeah.
Really yeah, real nice guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
He's very
Yeah.
sweet. Yes.
Oh,
Super fun. Yep.
Yes, I did meet. Yeah, very cool. I think he was in another con as well. But very cool. Yeah, the Transformer.
He was also in TFCon Chicago.
That's right. I was also there.
Yeah.
That's where we met. In the green room. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. Otherwise, I don't think so.
We got him. We got one. Clickbait, you got the next question.
I do indeed have the next question. So where can the listeners find you? Your social media's website, where can they go and support all the great work that you do?
Where am I? There's a website called davidkaye.com, and it has pretty much everything from all the trailers and promos and animation stuff. It's all on there, even some updated information. And but I'm bad at that, so might be a little behind. But at DKVO on Twitter, or going to be on Threads as well, the new platform, the same handle at DKAYEVO. Yeah, Tara Strong hates that handle. She always hated it, but I was so ambivalent and didn't care at the time. Why don't you do something cool? Because I'm not cool there.
Gotta stick to the classics.
Yeah, get to the classics.
I think that's also where your store is with your yes buttons.
Yes, you can buy the yes buttons are available on that store. There's some 8x10s, but I'm out of the 8x10s. I have to remind me, actually, I have to go and redo the store. So so we've got the website, we got Twitter, Threads, and also Instagram, also at DKAYEVO. It's horrible, but yeah, it's on there. So please follow me. I post now and again. I do have a one about wine, but that's a separate. That's my nerd. That's my other life.
And as always, listeners, will put all those links in the description so you can go and give
They're all
them a
there.
follow.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of these left, so you go to the website and pick one up.
You're gonna need a special link just for the buttons, okay, guys?
I think so. We can probably arrange that.
The buttons is the thumbnail.
Excellent. It's all about the thumbnail.
Yes. Well, our final question is, are there words of wisdom or something special you would like to say to the listeners?
Yeah, don't try to be anybody you're not. Be who you are. Like I said, if you're interested in this business, the sooner you become comfortable with yourself, and that sometimes takes a long time, the better. But every character you create's got to have a soul, and it has to be even a robot. It's got to be a real being, a real living being with feelings. I always tell people my goal with Clank, even though he's a robot, is to make you cry. But Ratchet, you're my friend. I want people to feel something, even though these are maybe mechanical beings. Yeah, do improv. Just read and travel. God, there's nothing like it because it opens your eyes to the world. And I think being insular is a very bad thing. Bad things can happen when we don't look outside our own existence. Yeah, America's a great country. I love it, but some other pretty great countries out there too. Like Italy's not bad. Boy, oh boy, I get there. But just I mean, broaden your horizons, and honestly, I hope people are still reading because that's really important. And to meet other cultures and other people, and be empathetic, and learn, that the world doesn't revolve around you, and that dictates how you create characters and how you because you have to go to these places, if you're creating something that's truthful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really well said.
Absolutely. Yes. Wonderful
All right.
advice.
Wrapping things up here, I want to take a moment and say thank you so much again for joining us. We really appreciate
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Oh, you're
And
very
thank
welcome.
you so much for the
It's been a
words of
blast.
wisdom.
You're very welcome.
As
Very
always, listeners, we hope you're all staying safe out there until our one.
Till all
All
are
are
one.
one.